In a Brooklyn pizzeria, Giovanni Lanzo faces a decision that echoes far beyond his corner shop. The whole world watches what New York does, he says, still undecided. Let's do it right. He's not exaggerating. What happens in New York City on November 4th, 2025, may determine whether the Democratic Party survives its identity crisis or fractures into pieces. The race for New York City mayor has become something far more consequential than a local election. With over 734,000 early votes cast, more than quadruple the turnout from the last mayoral election, New Yorkers are sending a clear message. This matters. And it matters not just for the city's 8 million residents, but for the direction of American politics itself. At the center of this political earthquake stands Zohran Mamdani, a 34-year-old Democratic Socialist who shocked the political establishment when he defeated former Governor Andrew Cuomo in June's Democratic primary. The upset victory wasn't close. Mamdani secured 56.4% of the vote in the ranked choice final tally, despite every major poll predicting a comfortable Cuomo win. Political analysts called it one of the most stunning upsets in New York political history. But Mamdani's victory in the primary was only the beginning. Cuomo, unwilling to accept defeat, launched an independent campaign, transforming a typical Democratic stronghold election into a three-way battle. Republican Curtis Sliwa, founder of the Guardian Angels vigilante anti-crime group, rounds out the field, though polls show him trailing significantly at around 17% support. The race has crystallized into something larger than personality or policy. It's become a proxy war for the soul of the Democratic Party. Mamdani, a member of the Democratic Socialists of America, represents the progressive wing's hunger for transformative change. His platform reads like a wish list of left-wing policy: free buses, universal childcare, a $30 minimum wage, rent freezes for stabilized apartments, and a promise to shift resources from police to a Department of Community Safety focused on mental health and crisis response. Cuomo, meanwhile, positions himself as the defender of pragmatic establishment politics. The former three-term governor, who resigned in 2021 amid sexual harassment allegations, now campaigns as the experienced hand who can keep the city from lurching leftward. He's attracted support from black voters and Orthodox Jewish communities and promises to hire more police while dismissing Mamdani's proposals as financially unfeasible fantasies. The drama surrounding the race extends to the highest levels of American power. President Donald Trump has inserted himself directly into the contest, first voicing support for then-incumbent Eric Adams, then threatening to arrest and deport Mamdani, and finally endorsing Cuomo in a last-minute appeal just one day before the election. On 60 Minutes, Trump made his position clear. If it's going to be between a bad Democrat and a communist, I'm going to pick the bad Democrat all the time. He later posted that voters must vote for Cuomo, calling Mamdani incapable of the job. Trump's interest isn't merely rhetorical. The president has suggested placing New York under federal control if Mamdani wins, and his Department of Justice controversially dropped federal corruption charges against Eric Adams in February 2025. Charges that had made Adams the first sitting New York mayor to face criminal indictment. Reports later emerged that Adams had allegedly discussed accepting an ambassadorship in Trump's administration in exchange for withdrawing from the race and splitting the anti-Mamdani vote. The racial and religious dynamics have added another layer of complexity. Conservative commentators have engaged in what critics describe as Islamophobic attacks on Mamdani, a Muslim with Indian-Ugandan heritage. Some have attempted to tie him to extremism and terrorism, including references to the 9/11 attacks. For many Jewish voters, the race has become emotionally fraught due to Mamdani's pro-Palestinian activism and his pledge to honor an international criminal court warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu by ordering his arrest if he visits New York. Polls show 43% of likely voters oppose this pledge, while 38% support it. Yet Mamdani's coalition defies easy categorization. He dominates among Asian American voters with 67% support, young voters aged 18 to 49 with over 60%, and those unaffiliated with religious groups at 69%. His campaign relied on a grassroots army of 50,000 volunteers rather than the traditional power broker networks that fueled Cuomo's $25 million PAC, the most money ever raised for a New York City mayoral campaign. The night after Mamdani's primary victory, Eric Adams reportedly met with a consortium of hedge fund managers, landlords, and cryptocurrency moguls who were aghast at the result. Wall Street figures expressed alarm and depression, while the luxury real estate market grew wary of his housing and tax policies. Conversely, labor unions, including SEIU 32BJ and the New York State Nurses Association, quickly endorsed him. For National Democrats, the race has become uncomfortable. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has refused to endorse anyone. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, also from New York, didn't back Mamdani until late October. Former President Barack Obama called Mamdani, reportedly telling him his campaign was impressive to watch and offering to be a sounding board, though stopping short of a formal endorsement, a move attributed to Obama's general policy of avoiding mayoral races. The implications extend far beyond City Hall. Political analysts describe the mayor's race as a signal moment for a Democratic Party looking for its way out of the political wilderness. The progressive versus moderate and insider versus outsider dynamics playing out in New York could preview primary battles nationwide in 2026 and beyond. Mamdani's victory has already emboldened Democratic Socialists to consider primary challenges against 5 incumbent House Democrats, including Jeffries himself. As polls began closing at 9 p.m. on November 4th, the latest averages showed Mamdani leading with 45.8%, holding a nearly 15-point advantage over Cuomo's 31.1%. Prediction markets like Polymarket placed Mamdani's chances at 95%. But the memory of how spectacularly wrong the primary polls were hangs over every projection. In his auto body shop in Queens, 47-year Trump supporter Jose Hernandez works on a white Mercedes while dismissing Mamdani. He talks too much, promises too many things. On Staten Island, Republican Matthew Dreich would love to see Sliwa, but knows the odds are slim. Throughout the city's 5 boroughs, voters understand they're not just choosing a mayor, they're helping decide whether the Democratic Party moves left or retreats to the center, whether grassroots organizing can defeat big money, and whether America's largest city becomes a laboratory for democratic socialism or a firewall against it. Giovanni Lanzo's dilemma in that Brooklyn pizzeria represents millions of voters grappling with the same question. What kind of Democratic Party and what kind of America do they want? The answer won't just govern New York City, it may govern the political conversation for years to come.